Every day in our workplaces, there seems to be some problem or the other, and we look at how to tackle them and why the same things keep occurring. We do this because the general output that the nation will gain will begin from our workplaces and our offices. Because different people from different ethnic groups and tribes come together to work in a certain confinement, it is always obvious that certain disagreements will occur. There are different troubles that occur in our workplaces, and the right measures have to be put in dealing with them because the focus is on bringing out the best for the nation at the long run. Some of these things which we see in our workplaces are the environment, the working environment, and the comfort they provide. You have to know that if you don't have a very comfortable and suitable working environment, the work you do will be affected one way or the other. For example, if you are using a chair that is weak or that is cranky, you will continue to hear certain noises which may be a problem to you. For example, if you are working in a studio where little noise is appreciated. Also, you have to consider the fact that you could develop some back pains or shoulder pains because the chair you are using is not good enough to keep you in the right posture. The working environment has to be suitable for the workers to bring out their best. This is because when the workers feel stressed, their energy will be clamped upon and they will not do their best during work hours. You have to also note that not only the way we sit, but the general atmosphere feeling contributes. In some workplaces, the aeration is not adequate, and because of the windows which are not suitable and are not big enough, there is a lot of heat. If this is the case in your workplace, you have to look at getting an air conditioner if it won't be a problem. But then if you cannot afford one, or if your boss cannot get one, it will mean you have to endure the heat and the humid atmosphere. There are also those workplaces where, because of the certain gases that are produced, the individuals have to look at getting some protective nose masks which will prevent them from inhaling those toxic gases. There are some factories where such gases are produced, and when the individual doesn't look at getting something to protect him from inhaling it, he may be making money alright, but he will be dying slow by slow. What is your working environment like? Is it one that you are okay with? Or are there one or two things that you can do to make it better? The working environment plays a big role in the output. Sometimes the working environment will depend on the type of people you work with. If you are working with colleagues who are jealous or envious of your position or of the certain favors and benefits you have, the working environment will not be very suitable. If you are also working with colleagues who do not put in much energy like you do and spend their time lazing around, gossiping, chattering, or even staking the lotto, which has been an example which has been used in the past, you would realize that the workload will be on you, but they will be wasting time. And because you people have to work collectively, you'll be the one doing most of the stress. The troubles in our workplaces arrive due to many factors. The key is to look at what the problem is, what causes it, and how to make it better and to solve it. There are also those troubles that arrive when two of the opposite sexes are involved. There have been reports of certain workplaces where the boss, who is a male, advances on some of the females in the workplaces, promising to do them good and to show them favors if they allow them to have their ways with them. Now, though it is always and almost always the time and the report that it is the males who are always advancing on the females, there have also been reports whereby the female bosses have made advances towards the young males, trying to get some attention from them with the promise of making their lives better. Now, we have to consider the fact that those who are under such of these bosses most times do not have the resources they need to live the life that they have. And because some of them want to protect their well-being and their livelihoods, they are forced into agreeing and allowing their bosses to have their ways with them and to use them. When this happens, they do get the benefits they want, but in most cases, they later regret it. And sometimes when things don't go on well, they have serious troubles with their bosses. And this is because they are not able to separate the work relationship from their love relationship. Sometimes they would expect the boss to be a little more loving in the workplace, but the boss will not expect that to be so. Because of this, troubles arise because emotions and feelings are mixed, and people cannot see the differences between the two and the two environments. But with such a case, what is the right way to deal with it? Should those bosses be reported? Should someone step in? Or should they just leave the bosses without minding them? Is it the right thing for these bosses to do this stuff to such their juniors and to those who they have an eye on? Of course not. But let's look at the ways such individuals could escape in case they are not willing to give off their bodies and give in to some of these demands. Some people have said the best thing to do is to leave the workplace and to never go back there to work again. Now, while this is true, it is not very easy for most people. You should remember that sometimes to even get a job, you spend almost your life's hustle to clock one. So once you land a job, you do your best to stay there to keep your income coming that you have already lost in the past. For such an individual, this would be a roadblock to him or her when he realizes that the only way for him or her to escape such an advanced love relationship in the workplace is for him or her to actually resign or to leave. If there's no possible option or job employment for that person, that means during the time that he's away or she's away, this individual will not have monies from work. And this is where the trouble is. There are many who are willing to actually say no to their bosses advancing and their bosses' demands. But the problem is, saying no normally comes with a cost. So you see, though it may be easy to say no, it may not be that easy because you may also be saying no to the money you are supposed to receive. Another one we look at is reporting to the authorities. If the boss has a higher boss, there's the possibility that you could report him to that higher boss so that things will be put in order. But if that higher boss does not take it seriously from there, then you would have just wasted your time. Another way to report is to the police force and to the institutions that are set up for such domestic occurrences. But we have to also look at the fact that sometimes fighting such battles involve a lot of time, and where your boss has more power and more influence, it may not be that easy to get him off your back. There have been people who have tried it, and their bosses, with the power they had, framed them for doing things they did not do, so that they will not be the ones in trouble, but they who have been reporting them. When all these things come into consideration, the little young beautiful girl who is in this position will be confused as to what to do and will not know whether to continue trying to report this boss who wouldn't stop, to leave the workplace, or to just remain there and allow him to do what he wants to do. You also have to look at the fact that it will involve time for you to go to the police station to report, and if you have to come back for procedures to take place, it will mean you wouldn't be available at work. But we have to get a way to deal with this the right way, so that when people are horny and want to remove the things and the feelings inside of them, they don't let the next young girl suffer for such feelings that they have. Another one we heard, which we thought was a good advice, was the type of clothing and dresses young women wear to work. It is advised that if you don't want to be made demands on and to be disturbed by your boss who finds you very attractive, then you should stop wearing very tight clothes and very sexy clothes that reveal most of your flesh and your private parts to your boss. When you look at some of our workplaces today, it seems it's the norm for ladies to have their skirts above their knees. You can go into a workplace to demand for something, but you'll be distracted by the thighs and the flesh which is showing all around you. Why is this? We have no idea, but it seems to be the accepted way of dressing in some workplaces. And there are some of these ladies who have these clothes that show the curves and the different hip structures and the very humongous buttocks which are behind them, which are all playing a part in getting their bosses, and not only their bosses but other people in the workplaces, to make advances towards them. Maybe, just maybe, if they could stop wearing these types of clothing, it could go a long way to prevent such types of demands being made on them. There are some ladies who even go to the extent of wearing clothes that show their cleave and their breasts. And there are some cases where when they bend down a little, you might see the whole of the nipples and a lot of stuff which we don't want to even go into. This is the question. Why would you dress like you're in your bedroom when you are going to work? Is the workplace now a place for fashion and the showing and the exposure of certain body parts? Maybe it is a good thing to make the workplace look active and energetic and vibrant, but we have to know the gauge and the separating line between looking good and decent for work and looking very hot for work. There are most places where these women who dress so are receiving advances from different men, and if you find out some of the things that are going on in the workplaces, you will be surprised. So for those types of troubles in our workplaces, which have different effects and consequences to the general output in the nation, we would ask the listeners to look at them and see how to put a stop to them. Remember that whatever you can do to keep yourself from discomfort is what you do to help the nation. Thank you for listening. Avoid trouble in your workplaces and have a nice day.